guys have watched me gather books in book haul after book haul after book haul after book haul over the last few months. And now it's time to start getting rid of some of them. A number of years ago, I actually pretty much got rid of all of my books. I kept some nonfiction and a couple fiction books, but I pretty much got rid of all of them. Then at the beginning of this year, we got all these bookcases, and I knew I wanted books to put on them. So I started buying lots of books. And now I've read a number of them, and some of them were disappointing. And those are the ones I'm going to be getting rid of. So, book hauls are a thing here on YouTube. I like watching them, actually. I like seeing the books that people are getting rid of and knowing their reasons for getting rid of them. At the same time, it kind of seems like a ridiculous video idea, but whatever. I'm going to do it. I'm going to share the ones I'm getting rid of and some of my reasons why. First one, I read this one last month, A Darker Shade of Magic. I had such high hopes for this book, which is probably why it was disappointing. I hate going into books with high expectations because this happens so often. This is a fantasy novel that I've heard so many good things about, but recently Reagan from the Peruse Project shared she said something about how a lot of people are disappointed in V.E. Schwab's writing. I don't remember how she wrote it, but like they like the concepts, but then when they read the book, they're kind of disappointed. And that's exactly how I felt about this. This book had so much potential, and it was just flat. I just didn't care for the characters. I didn't dislike them. They were just like very one-dimensional, like just flat. This next book was similar vibes here. Force of Nature. This is Jane Harper's book 2. I actually got rid of her book 1 earlier in the year as well. This one, it was so interesting. It's about 5 women who go on a hike, like on a corporate retreat hike, and are supposed to be gone for a couple days, and only 4 of them return. And it was such a cool mystery. The beginning just like totally gripped me, and then things just fell apart in the last like quarter of the book. There was like strings left just out in the middle of nowhere, like people that had been creepily watching that were never talked about again, and the ending was just very, very underwhelming. So I'm not rereading that or recommending it. The next 2 are kind of the same thing. These are 2 different George Mueller books. So this one is by Basil Miller from the Man of Faith series, and then this one is by Arthur Pearson. This one was written in, what did I say when I looked? Was it like 1918 or, I think the author died in 1918. So, you know, written really quite some time ago. And I just felt like it was very heavy and boring. Not heavy, just really boring. I've read George Mueller's story before and it was interesting. So then I tried this afterwards and I just felt like this was an abridged version of this. Also just felt really dull. So I'm getting rid of these, and I'm actually going to be sending these to a subscriber because she offered to pay for them, and I just figured, you know what, I really like George Mueller. I like his story. I want someone else to enjoy him, and she wanted these, so she's going to get these. And really, that was my whole purpose for doing this video. I was actually going to wait until I had more books to get rid of, but I want to send her those 2 books, so that's why we're doing this here today. Next up is A Gentleman in Moscow, and apparently my cover's dirty. Another one that, like, I don't think I'd heard anyone say anything remotely negative about this book before. And I also just found it really, really boring. I don't know. I guess no. I was going to say House Arrest isn't very interesting to me because nothing happens, but it can be interesting. Like, this had interesting moments, but there's just way too much other stuff that just wasn't worth it. The Falconer. This is a fae story set in Scotland. Lots of good things about it. It made me interested in stories with fairies, but I don't know, I just felt like it was very meh. That being said, I really like the color of the inside cover and the front cover. So these are the initials of the main character. I really like this book. It's like very soft, and I'm like, maybe can I save this for some kind of crafty project? This would be like such a cool little diary thing or something. Then I'm kind of like, maybe I just save this and chuck this and do something with the inside. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this. One thing I forgot to mention is these books, other than the ones I'm sending to a subscriber, They are either going to go in my little free library, which my husband and son are slowly working on, or I will drop them off at other little free libraries around town. And if I can't find any other use for them, then they will probably just go to the thrift store. I don't think there's any books on this pile, but it has happened before where I found a book so terrible I just like recycled it because I didn't want to expose other people to that terribleness. Like there was this book that I read at the beginning of the year. It had no ending. It said go to this website for the last chapter, big cliffhanger, and then the website is no longer in existence, so you could not actually find the ending. I kind of figured it out via Goodreads, but yeah, I was like, well, why would I bring this to the thrift store if other people are just gonna be really annoyed? Next is In the Shadow of Lions. This is a kind of like Henry VIII and Boleyn retelling mixed with like the Reformation and stuff. Very interesting concept. This had one of my very favorite first lines of a book. It actually made me wonder about doing a video about the best first lines of books. This one says, tomorrow someone else will die in my bed. That like totally gripped me. And then I just didn't really enjoy the rest of it. There was a lot of confusion when we were like flipping between people. Definitely not my favorite, but I still kind of like the idea of favorite first lines of books, but this is really the only one that jumped out at me. Next up is Keishas House. This is a free verse novel where we follow 7 different characters in the span of like 120 pages, and I was very confused because we just kept flipping back and forth so much that I had to look on the back here to see like which character we were talking about. And yeah, I just felt like that was way too short of a book for that many main characters. Next up is Aquifer, maybe is how you pronounce it. This is like I think it's a Christian, is it a Christian fantasy type book? Yeah. It was interesting, but I realized like I want to keep books that I like want to recommend or really felt something about, and this one was like okay. I just felt like maybe it wasn't good enough to stay on my shelves. I do have like some highlighting and stuff in here, so people that get my books, you know, from my little free library, or if I bring them to the thrift store or whatever, I'll take out my little tabs, but they will see my highlights. Another one I recently read is Ban This Book. I talked about my thoughts about it in my August wrap up. The biggest problem I had with this is this felt like it was very much written for like a 4th grader, but then one of the books that was banned, I think like how she kind of talks about it is it talks about the topic that is sex, and it like spells it out in here, and I just feel like this brought up lots of good points in this book that I wouldn't mind if my daughter read, but then I was like, well, there's just some topics I'm not ready for discussion yet, or like she's not ready for, so it coming through in a book like this isn't the way I want to approach it. Yeah, so for that reason this is going off my shelf. Oh, this one, The Red Pencil, is actually a really good book. This is a free verse about a girl in Sudan who wants to learn to write. I just accidentally bought 2 of them. So we actually, one of the things we wanted to do was do a book scavenger type thing, hide books around our town, and then let other homeschoolers find them and give them clues. So I think this one will be a really good one for that. Then there's Magic. This is book 1 in a series. I had this one on my shelf for quite some time. I read it, I think, in the winter, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with this. I think in the end, my thoughts were that this one, it's kind of a fuzzy line between good magic and dark magic, and I don't know, I just feel like the way, the age group that it's written for, I don't want there to be those kind of fuzzy lines. For like the middle grade age, I still want things to be a little more black and white, like this is good and this is evil. So this is going to be a series that I don't recommend that my kids read, and so there's no point in owning the book. Okay, I don't know if other people do this, but I heard that this author is really good, Kit Pearson. So I found this book at a thrift store years ago. and it's book 3. And then I've never found book 1 and 2 at the thrift store. So I'm going to get rid of it. But then I'm really scared that I'm going to find books 1 and 2. But whatever. Yeah, so this is just like a middle grade, I think World War II history. Yeah, the end of World War II, I guess. So it sounds like an interesting book. I'm just not sure if you have to read the other ones, and I just can never find them unless I get them from the library, but then there's no point in owning book 3. Yeah, so the rest of these are also middle grade. This one might be controversial. I have 3 books here by the same author, and that author is DiCamillo. I know so many people, especially homeschool moms, really love DiCamillo. So I got The Tale of Despero, The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane, and Because of Winn-Dixie. And I know some people aren't going to like that, but I just don't like her writing. I don't like her books. I don't understand why people like her stuff so much. The movie for this was pretty funny. The book was terrible. I don't even care to go into this book anymore. Like we finished it. I think there's a movie. I don't care to watch the movie. And this one was like okay, but I don't understand why it was a Newbery honor. Like it wasn't that good. Speaking of Newbery honors, we recently read The Cricket in Times Square and just felt like that one was pretty mediocre, so that's gonna go. E.B. White, The Trumpet of the Swan. Yeah, I think my kids like this one. I wasn't a fan. They listen to it on audio sometimes, so they can just listen to it on audio. We don't need to keep that. And Shiloh, we read, I think last summer. And it was okay, but not gonna reread. So, yeah. There is my current UNHAUL. I feel like there's gonna be another UNHAUL, you know, obviously sometime down the road, maybe every 6 months or so. The last time I got rid of a bunch of books, I didn't film it, I just got rid of them. So I don't know how long it generally takes to get a stack, but I've been reading a lot of books lately, so if I don't enjoy them, they'll just go in my UNHAUL pile. I would like to know if there was any books here that you like greatly opposed to me getting rid of. If I've made a terrible choice, I have a few days before I actually go to the thrift store and get rid of these, so you can let me know and maybe I'll pull it back out. Yeah, but as this stands right now, these are the books I'm getting rid of, and hopefully I read some better ones than these soon. Thanks for watching, guys.